All right. So I have today a very special guest with me. She was immediately on my mind when I thought about the topic for this episode. And it's all about boosting our confidence, really building that confidence in ourselves, because that really gives such a great boost to our own personal brands, our business brand, whatever it is that we're growing and trying to achieve, whatever we're dreaming about. It helps to bring that forth and manifest it. And I'm going to let Sarah Brown introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her. And then we're going to kind of go into how we as women can really boost our confidence and boost the amazingness of our own personal brands. So, Sarah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I love chatting with you and I love your energy and I want to help your people. Me in a nutshell, my name is Sarah Brown. I have 3 children. They're all grown. I live in northern Nevada, right outside of Lake Tahoe, so in the mountains and basically kind of like a paradise. I retired 7 years ago. I am a serial hardcore entrepreneur. I built multiple brands and multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch, from nothing. I have no college education and no mentors, no money. So I know that all of this stuff can be done. And I don't really accept your excuses because I know it's possible. Anyways, that gives me a lot of confidence. And so I love talking about this. Some people say they want to know, how did you make your money? I always hear that. So I will just say it really quick. I started out cleaning houses. I built that business. And then I moved to multi-level marketing. I built that into a multi-million-dollar business, Avon to be specific, with 3 children in tow, knocking on doors. You can do hard. It works.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I built a international manufacturing and distribution business on the internet in 2008 when there was no cash and the world was just crashing everywhere around us. We still built a multi-million-dollar business. So again, you can do hard. And then we built a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, and that's kind of where our bread and butter is now, and what allows me to just kind of spend my days doing whatever I want because it's all pretty darn passive. So you can do that too. So that's about me. As far as confidence, the number one thing with regard to your brand that I feel this in the core of every cell of my being is we need to know your secret sauce. We need to know what makes you different. And a lot of people, and this is going to ruffle feathers, they spout off a bunch of buzzwords that they think people want to hear about, what they do and the products that they offer and stuff. But what we really want to know is at the core of you, what you had to overcome, number one, because that's relatable. Mm-hmm. And why are you different from every other person who offers that thing that you just told me that you offer? So that's a little bit fluffy and ambiguous. So what I think we need to do is go micro and ask ourselves on a daily, momentary basis, who am I being? And what does that look like? And now for me, I identify as powerful. And so I ask myself in this next 60 seconds, what could I do that's powerful?
Yeah.
Usually I get half dozen ideas.
So true. I mean, just everything you're saying, I'm just sitting over here and just listening patiently. I'm like, okay, I need to soak all this in because, truly you've walked the walk that you're talking and telling everybody else. And to me, you're such a good example of just, like you said, doing the hard because it is possible to do it. Like any excuse we come up with is not good. Like there's never a really good one, I think. It's just we want to stop ourselves.
I mean, I agree. There's not, but to me, I'm like, I've, taken all the psychology training and I have coach certifications, which I have beefs with those, but basically we are designed to stay safe. So that's what I think when I hear an excuse. I'm like, oh, she's just keeping herself safe and familiar. So I just like to mirror that to people. That's what's happening right now. Nothing's gone wrong. That
Hmm.
thing your brain just tossed up is not actually a reason to not progress. And then I like to go worst case scenario with people, actually. It's super fun for me because that's what I do with myself. Like, what's the absolute worst case? And I've lost everything. I've been through bankruptcy. I've had my car repoed. Been hospitalized. Like, I've been through a lot of bad shit. So I know that here I stand telling your
Hmm.
people you can do hard things. So I believe in mining those hard things that we've done in the past for proof that we can overcome them and thrive later, while also looking at future hard things and really going deep on how it's like there's a Stoic phrase for it. I forget what it's called because I'm on the spot right now, but I'll remember later. It's a Latin phrase about premeditating the bad stuff
Hmm.
in very deep detail. And I really like to do that. And I like to come up with plans for them in advance. And then I just go. I just like, open up the throttle, as my sweetie says. He likes motorcycles and airplanes, and he just likes going fast in all the things.
Yes.
I would never do that, but I will go fast in these things. Once I figured out my downsides and I've solved for them as best I can. And that has served me so well. Whereas I think people are trying to avoid the downsides.
Hmm.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. And I like that you have explained that, of just like, go imagine all the things that could really go wrong, like the worst case scenarios, because I think we as humans, we tend to be problem solvers. Like, I know I definitely am. Like, if I'm running up against something, like, what could I do? What can I do to fix this? Like, even if there's things that, like, I can't fix, someone's had a bad day, like my kids have had a bad day or something, like I can't truly fix what went wrong, but we can address something and do something fun later, or do something fun right now to kind of change that attitude. But I like that you said that, because there is such power in just visualizing. And if we're already imagining, like, well, what would happen if XYZ happened? What would happen if I lost money on this venture? What would happen if, like, all these different things, and just going ahead and answering those, because we will come up with solutions. We will find a way. I literally had this conversation with my husband, like, I think last night, because he was talking about wanting to cut down on his hours that he's working, because he does 3 different jobs. And so we're like, okay, if money's not an option, what would you do? He's like, I would just do one. I'm like, okay, so we know what you would do. Worst case scenario, if you said, I'm just going to do one, what's going to happen? Like, we figured out things before. Somehow we always figure out things. If we don't give ourselves a deadline of when we want to cut you down to just one job, we're never going to do it. Like, we'll figure out the hard stuff. We've done it in the past, and you have to find that past proof. Where has this happened before, or something similar happened, and prove to yourself, like, oh, it worked out. I was able to do this. I was able to come up with a solution, or a solution presented itself. Like, there is proof all around you for the things that you can do, and then there's going to be proof for things you can't do. It's just all on how you look at it. Like the Henry Ford quote: if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So, I mean, that's everything that you're saying. Like, it's that mental attitude of I can. And I think, just watching one of your reels today about, or maybe your story, just on a different way of wording it. Not saying I can't, saying, asking the questions of how can I? What can I do? Making it in a positive potential of what can I do? How can I overcome this? Because there's always going to be those challenges, those obstacles, those things that want to bring us down, but knowing that I can figure it out. I can do it. Even if I don't know how right now, doesn't mean I can't find out how, or learn how, or actually, miraculously, with the help of other people, get something done. Because, there is proof all around us. You are proof. You have done many different things. And I kind of look to you as like, she can do it. I can do it too. It's exciting
I
to see
want.
that.
A friend dropped this sweatshirt off on my porch I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna shoot a reel in it. And it's something about I'm afraid, and someone comes to me and says, I'm afraid, but the sweatshirt says, but I'm not. So we're okay. Like, all you
Yeah.
really need is proof positive out there. And it's literally everywhere of people who have
Hmm.
done the thing and at times a million that you
Yeah.
want to do. I wanted to mention something you said about like your husband and like stress testing the situation and all that kind of stuff. And I want to offer something that I don't hear very often, but what I do hear is people will ask me in different words, what's the fast way? What's the best way? What's the easy way? And
Hmm.
I throw up in my mouth a little bit every single time I hear it because it's not how it works. But I will tell you the fast way, the fast, easy, best way, actually. And that is go to the place that scares you the most, but has the most odds of getting you the result. And then figure out what emotion you're going to have to endure or suite of emotions to make that happen. And it's usually risk, uncertainty, failure, embarrassment, judgment, all of those. And the worst that's ever going to happen to you are those, or death,
Hmm.
right? And most of these things we're talking about don't involve death. The things my sweetie does, he flies upside down, death. We've already faced that. Like he's alive, but like we have to go there
Yeah.
and we have to have insurance and all this. But
Yeah.
so death or a horrible feeling or set of feeling for a prolonged period of time. And like you can handle that. You have before. So that is the fastest way, is to just figure out the thing that's most likely to work. And it's usually exposure. And that's what we don't
Hmm.
want.
Yeah.
But if you can wrap your head around that, and that's what I love about coaching, is actually that's what I like to work with people, is kind of like a simulation. What do you call that when you have a phobia or something? Exposure therapy.
Okay.
That kind of a thing with whatever scares you going there, because once you tackle that enough times, I'm circling back to your original question of confidence. This is
Hmm.
how you have actual confidence that is rock hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't waver.
Yeah. That's like when people ask you, like, how can I do this? How can I grow a business? But do it all without facing the things I fear the most. You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're not going to.
I mean,
Like,
it's a jobby. It's a a hobby. You're just cherry picking the fun things that are like comfortable or easy for you or that kind of stuff. And that's fine. But if you
mhm,
want to make millions of dollars and have, financial freedom and change the world, whatever that looks like for you, it's not going to be in these, cherry picked fun things that you want to do.
yeah, yeah. I was thinking as you were talking about that of just okay, like I like Star Wars. I'm kind of a little bit of a Star Wars fan. I've turned my son into one. And it's so funny because like this phrase, I don't remember from what movie it was, but it was like the destiny of every Jedi is to face their fears. Like literally that's kind of our destiny too, I think, especially as we're talking about like what is going to give us that confidence. If you face what you're most fearful of, you're going to show yourself that you have confidence because you have done something that you initially thought was really hard or really scary and prove to yourself that it wasn't impossible for you to do it. I mean, like, is there anything else that builds confidence other than that? Like, you almost just have to kind of fast track yourself to what's that next step? Like you were talking about, what's that next thing you can do that you're scared to do, but that will give you the most traction and progress toward the goal that you want to go through? Like, without really kind of piecing that together in these exact words, I feel like I have almost been pre-planning some of those things for me. Like, what are some things that I could do, maybe unrelated to business per se, but related to what I'm fearful about that I could put myself into, force myself into, so that I could get comfortable with it. And I think that as much as we don't want to have to do that, we know deep down that that is what we have to do.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you really want it. And, this is something I've been playing with lately is because it's January,
Mhm.
and that's goals. And I just came to this realization that goals fall into two camps. Would be nice,
Mhm.
or I'm committed to making this happen. And most people are in the would be nice. Because once you start talking about, like, this is why I'm a big fan of the dailies and the moments and by the hour, what can I do this hour? Because once you start breaking it down like that, I usually lose people. because they're
Yeah.
like, oh no, that's not what I meant. And I'm like, I know, you just like the idea over here. You didn't like
Yeah.
this, you know, dragging yourself through the mud every day for 6 to 10 years to get where you want to go. That's not so fun.
Yeah.
So I think there's nothing wrong with it. Like I have been writing down, I'm going to walk my dogs every day for 4 years. I don't walk my dogs every day. And it's a silly, simple little goal compared to some other
Hmm.
things. But I realized I'm not committed. It just
Yeah.
would be really nice, but I'm not
Yeah.
committed. So asking, like getting clarity on that is so powerful.
Yeah. Because then I think you can alleviate those things that are like, oh, I don't actually want that. Like I'm not truly deep down committed to it.
Yes.
And I like that you say that there's those two categories, because one thing I have started for myself this year and I've been keeping up with is that every day, usually in the morning so far, I've sat down, I wrote down 5 things that I'm grateful for, and then I write down my 5 top goals. And when I write them down, I say I commit or I am committed to, and then
Mm.
I write in my goal. Because, you know, at some point, in last year, I came across something that was like, you have to really be committed. And I'm thinking, okay, instead of just I want or I have, which is still kind of open, it's like I commit to it. It means I'm not taking other options. It means this is the option for me, and this is what I'm going to work towards. Now, time will only tell which one of those are still going to be on my list. I mean, I've only got 5. Some of those may stay for the next year or more. And some of those may be like, okay, I need to adjust this. I'm not actually committed to this anymore.
And that's the
But
power of that process is
yeah.
you self, some fall off the list and that's totally fine because now you know.
Hmm. Yeah. And even some of them, like one of them in particular, is a very, I don't know, long-term goal. Like it's going to take a lot of work and it's going to take a lot of time and effort to put into it. And I've given myself a deadline of like, I'm committed to reaching this level by 2030. Because I'm like, I know it's going to take a long time. Because, there's no shortcut to what this is that I want. And I'm not going to go into detail in it, but it's like, okay, it aligns with a lot of my values. It's something I've been in before. And I'm like, I know it takes time, but if I'm just committed every day to just doing something small towards it, I know within 6 years, it's very possible to happen. So, it's just those things like that. I like that you say, you have to be committed, but then you have to do the daily things. If you can have confidence or show yourself that you can do those daily things, I think that compounds. It compounds towards your confidence level, because then you can look back and be like, I stuck with this every single day. Because as I do these daily things, this gratitude and these goals that I commit to, I mark it off on my calendar. You help me start that with like, don't break the chain, just keep it going. And so far, every day I've marked off my calendar that I've done those 2 things. I've had my gratitude and I'm doing my goal setting. And so when I look back on that, that's going to show me that my level of confidence has increased, because I'm proving to myself that I am doing something towards the things that are important to me, towards the things that may scare me a little bit, but I'm committed to those things.
I think that it's a secondary win. I'm all about, I call them compound wins, when you don't just get like one thing, you get like a little halo effect of win from the
Mm-hmm.
thing. And I think that the daily practice, it does 2 things. A, you're obviously getting your way to your goal, but like you said, you are proving to yourself that you are the person who is this person who can create this. Like you're creating this proof every day, and the whole topic, your whole thing is confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't come from someone giving you the check mark of approval. Confidence comes from inside and you proving to yourself that you are the person who XYZ. So the more of those little dailies that you can do before you get to that big scary thing that we were talking about, because some people will hear that and they'll be like, I can never do that. They may
Yeah.
not say that, but their nervous system rejects it. And I get it because they've been
Mm-hmm.
through some trauma. They're not ready for that. And I've had to learn that hard lesson with people that they don't really want to hear that, Sarah, that whatever. I'm like, this is the hard thing you have to do. And they're like, okay, bye. You didn't give me what I wanted. So what we do
Yeah.
is we work up to that with those little baby dailies. And then I call them like ancillary, like other areas. Like I have weights right here in my office, and I do 60 maneuvers with my weights every day. Is that changing my body? Probably not. But it's like a hard thing that I have to force myself to do that
Mhm.
shows me that I do hard things on purpose every single day. And so you can pick other things that aren't related to your goal that are hard that just simply show you, I do hard things. Remember? So you've got your
Mhm.
past, you've got your little micro dailies, and then you've got little ancillary things that you can add on. And all of this together, before you know it, full blown confidence.
Yep. Yeah, it's not just that one big brave moment where you do something. It's a lot of those little bitty moments that add up over time. And as we're kind of talking about this, like there are those that are going to shy away from those big challenges, and I'm glad you brought that up. Of just like, what tiny challenge can you do on a consistent basis that over time will prove to you like I can do these hard things. If I can show up for something that I don't like to do, that's going to take me 5 or 10 minutes, if that, then I can do something else that is hard or that scares me. And so, it's going to be different for each person, but I think the more you practice that and do that, whatever in your business that's going to be scary for you to do or that you're going to feel uncomfortable about, you can do it. Because I really don't think that confidence is just a feeling. It's like you can show up and do something hard and be like super nervous or jittery or have some anxiety around it, or you can be like bubbly and super excited about it. It's not really a feeling. I think that confidence is more or less an action. Like I'm going to courageously go forward in what I need to do. That is confidence. It's a result of
Hmm.
the actions you're taking.
Interesting. My training has me like my head spinning right now because the training that I learned is you pick your word, confidence, let's just say, or fear,
Mhm.
and then you ask yourself, if this is what I'm feeling, what are my actions? And you come up with a big long list. And it's really cool when you do that because you'll see when you're fearful what that looks like. And then you say, but if I was confident, this is what I'd be doing. And it
Mhm.
opens up little portals in your mind, but I do agree that there is a result at the end of those actions that is increased confidence. So it's just, words and moving things around. But it's really
Yeah.
interesting to always ask yourself if I'm embodying this thing right now, whatever the thing is, what does my action roster look like? And just go
Yeah.
crazy with that.
Yeah. I like that. I really do. Because, like I said, even though confidence to me feels like more like it's something in action. It's not just that emotion all the time. It's like we said, those compounding results. I feel like it can be a lot of different things. It really could fit into probably every spectrum. It can be you can have confident thoughts, you can have confident feelings, confident actions, confident results. It really could fit everywhere. Now that I think about it, like you can fit that anywhere.
Well, and I also like to think of like precursors. And to me, yes, confidence result. And can you just generate confidence? Not always. I can't. I mean,
Hmm.
it's possible, but it depends, situation dependent. So sometimes I need to just say, I'm going to have courage
Yeah.
as my precursor. And I believe on the other end of that, I'm going to have courage. I'm going to do these actions because if I'm feeling courageous, I do these actions. And then on the end result, I'm going to feel confident if for no other reason because I did those actions. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to start where you are. And I think courage sometimes is more accessible than confidence, or it can
Yeah.
be.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
sometimes all you need for courage is someone to say, hey, just go do it. I believe in you. You've got this. Or looking to your past or anything you need to just get that burst to just get yourself going, I don't know, I'm trying to think like the spark on a flame or something like that, the spark.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And everybody's going to be different in that respect of like some people they just need someone behind them to be like, go, you got this, you can do this. Others need like that really good pumped up music, like a Rocky theme or something. Or some of
Yeah.
us are just like, I just need to get in the headspace, like, start talking, doing that self inner monologue or something where you're talking yourself up or boosting yourself up or just I mean anything. Anything can be that spark of inspiration just find what it is for you, what you need. And I feel like for me lately, it's been conversations like this and another podcast episode that I recorded where it just having that energy exchange between like me and you and talking about things that we can do to overcome the fears, to build more confidence, to take those little tiny courageous actions. Like that is sparking in me like, okay, I can do these hard things. And I'm going to do these hard things because once I do them, I'm going to realize that they're not that hard. But also, I'm going to realize that I have more confidence and I'm capable of more than I think I am.
Yeah, it's truly the only way.
Yeah.
I thought about something, because again, I'm all about that action line. Like, what can we do? Like, how many more? That's where my brain is always going. When I'm talking to people, when they give me their problem, I'm just like solving. It's a terrible trait, but in my mind, I'm brainstorming for them. So
Yeah.
something I really, really believe in is let's take your 5 goals. You said you're writing them down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm writing them down and then I say them out loud.
Okay. So in my opinion, that's a repetition thing. And we can amplify that because what we're doing is we're talking to our subconscious
Mm-hmm.
because it's just like an animal. It's like very primal safety. It doesn't have all this prefrontal, logic and stuff going on. So we're trying to program it. And I like the idea of doing it through different modalities. So I like to record them and listen to them in my headphones. I have 13 to 15 that I do every single day. So
Mm-hmm.
I swear by that practice. And mine are not, like I said, walking the dog. Like it's not a huge, some of them are not huge, some of them are. So recording them, writing them, saying them out loud. There's another one that I like to do. I just like to use all the different senses as best I can, reading them, having them written because I have them in, where's my book? I have like filled so many of these books of all of them, and I will go back and just read. And I never look at what I did the day before. I don't know if you do that. I just do what comes to me intuitively today. And sometimes there's some difference. And like when I look 2 to 3 years back or 10 years back, I started in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
That one, I have every single thing on my list except for a vegetable garden. And that's because I just moved to a new house and I haven't planted it yet. But it was crazy, like
Yeah.
$100,000 a month, things like that. When I look back, and that's the beautiful thing of writing. So I got off on
Mm-hmm.
a tangent there, but you absolutely have to write. But how many other modalities and how many places in your day can you sprinkle in absorption or output of those 5 things? How many different days or times and ways can you do it in your day? That's the secret, hot sauce to it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Cause it's one thing to write them. And then like, if you're writing them all at the new year, like, here's my goals. And then you lay them aside. You're like, they're
Yeah.
never seen again. I have some like that I'm like, I wrote them and then they're in a notebook and they were forgotten completely about. And then I have some like in, I don't know, probably notebooks from a couple years ago where I would write something every single day or write the same goals over and over again. And now that you've mentioned that, it makes me want to go find those and look back and see like what's actually happened so
Oh,
that that can be that proof for me. But I'm like, I love that you mentioned using different ways of like, how can I keep them in front of me? How can I keep listening to them, hearing them? Because it's like we remember the things that we see and hear and we engage our senses with so much more than if we're just like, if I just write them down. Because if I just write them down, I'm like, okay, I need to actually voice them out. I need to use some other ways to kind of keep them um, open and flowing and happening. And because I'm also listening to myself when I say them, but it's becoming part of me when I actually use my voice to speak them. So I'm really glad that you threw that tip in there. So now I'm curious of what are the ways I can I can keep my goals in front of me, and then also too is taking those goals and even breaking them down to those small little daily actions. Like, what am I actually doing today to work towards those goals? Because, like we're talking about, it's going to lead to that confidence part. It's going to add and fill up that confidence bank the more times we put those little bitty pennies, coins, whatever it is. Some days when we do those hard, challenging things, and I'm like, I'm putting $1 in the bank today in my confidence because I
yes.
did
Yes.
something big and feel proud of that.
Yeah.
Like, I would literally probably celebrate that. Like, I did this hard thing. I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. Celebrate those and solidify that memory in your mind for sure.
I think, I mean, this is just my opinion because some people think they don't like it, but I like to share those things. And I like it when other people share them with me, like on their stories, or I've like started this movement. People will text me or they'll message me, hey, and they'll tell me the hard thing they did. Because I love that. Like I live for that stuff. And I
Mhm.
like to share mine too. And sometimes I get that bit of self-doubt that, oh, people don't want to hear that. Or it just makes them, it amplifies their lack or that they don't do those things. But I always come back to I'm proof of what you can do. And I need to actually like be that proof by saying these things. So I don't know if that's widely accepted, but for me, it feels aligned to
Mhm.
share. I just did this hard thing, or I'm going through this hard thing. It kind of skims the like being complainy or negative, or I don't know. Sometimes there's some negativity, but that's life. So
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it is good, especially if you have someone that you can share that with, who's going to look at you and be like, wow, I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you, that knows the journey you're on, that you're like, I'm really trying to build my confidence. I'm
yeah,
really wanting to work towards the things that are hard. Share it with those people. Share it
yeah,
with the people and the tribe that you know is going to be supportive of that. Because if not, it's like that's just going to crush whatever you just did. Especially if it's someone who's like not receptive of that and not supportive of that. Um, so for sure, even if you're like, I don't know Sarah yet, but I'm already loving her, go follow her and share the fact that you've done some hard things. Like share those things with her. She loves those. So thank you again so much, Sarah, for just doing this podcast with me and sharing some great things. I think that we all can take away of just how to really build that confidence, because when we increase that in ourselves, I do believe that that whole energy transpires into our personal brand. We become somebody that people sort of want to follow. They want to look up to. They're inspired by, like, oh, she did this. She did this hard thing. We're proof that they can do it too. And we're also teaching them and guiding them and showing them what they can start doing for themselves. And there's such richness in that, I believe, of just being that example and also, inspiring the people who are looking up to us, because there's always somebody that's watching you. There's always somebody looking up to you. There's someone that's wondering what it is that you're doing. And when you exude more confidence in yourself, that transpires into the business leader and professional that you want to be. And there's only good things, I believe, that can come from that, of just really exuding the fact that you're doing the things it takes, that you're doing the things that are building up your confidence bank, and that you're not afraid to commit to serving in whatever capacity you've chosen to, and that speaks volumes, more so than whatever maybe service or product that you have. It speaks volumes when you show your level of commitment, for sure.
yeah. I think they're buying you before they're buying your product because our products, let's face it, there's a lot of options out there. So how do we pick which option? It's the
Yeah.
person that we're drawn to, who we think is going to help us get the best experience out of it. And yeah, confidence is magnetic.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate it. Your links to follow you and kind of get into your world, they'll be in the show notes. So if you want to go follow Sarah, please do that. She's absolutely amazing and is always sharing things just to help us grow to that next level and become the person that we really want to be and achieve those hard things.
Yes. Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.